Deep underground in an undisclosed location, this is Tread Comics presents Batman, the animated series. Batman, the animated series is an American superhero animated television series based on the popular DC Comics superhero Batman. Developed by Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, and Mitch Brian, and produced by Warner Brothers Entertainment, it originally aired on the Fox Kids from September 5th, 1992 to September 15th, 1995, with a total of 85 episodes. For the final 15 episodes, the series was given the on-screen title, The Adventures of Batman and Robin, which was also used for reruns of earlier episodes. The series became the first in the continuity of the shared DC animated universe, spawning further animated TV series, feature films, comic books, video games, most with the same creative talent. The series was praised for its thematic complexity, film noir aesthetics, darker tone, artistic presentation, and modernization of the title character's crime-fighting origins. IGN.com listed Batman the Animated Series as the best adaptation of Batman anywhere outside of comics and the best comic book television show of all time. The widespread acclaim led the series to win 4 Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Animated Programming. The series took influence from Tim Burton's live-action films Batman in 1989 and Batman Returns in 1992. And the acclaimed Superman theatrical cartoons produced by the Fleischer Studios in the early 1940s. In designing the series, Bruce Timm and Eric Randowski emulated the Burton films' otherworldly timelessness, incorporating period features such as black and white title cards, police airships, and vintage color schemes with film noir flourishes. The visual style of the series was based on the artwork of Randowski, and the gothic look of Gotham City was derived from its initial designs. In addition, Randowski issued a standing order to the animation department that all backgrounds be painted using light colors on black paper, as opposed to the industry standard of dark colors on white paper. The distinctive visual combination of noir imagery and Art Deco design was dubbed Dark Deco by the producers of Batman the Animated Series. The series initially took a variation of music written by Danny Elfman for the Burton films as its theme. Later episodes of the series used a new theme with a similar style by Shirley Walker. Walker was occasionally Elfman's conductor for films. The score of the series was influenced by Elfman's work on the Burton films, as well as music of the 1940s film noir. Batman the Animated Series is heralded for more adult-oriented content than many other previous superhero cartoons. It depicts outright physical violence against antagonists, including realistic firearms, though the only one character, Commissioner Gordon, was even depicted as being shot in the episode I Am the Night. First-time producers Tim and Randowski reportedly encountered resistance from studio executives, but the success of Burton's first film allowed the series to survive long enough to produce a pilot episode on Leather Wings, which, according to Tim, got a lot of people off our backs. During the series production, producer Alan Burnett wrote a silent episode without dialogue entitled Silent Night to explore more of Batman's sexual life, but this was never produced. Burnett also intended to make an episode featuring a female vampire that would bite Batman to suck his blood, but plans never materialized. The series is also notable for its supporting cast. Numerous known actors provided voice for a variety of recognizable villains, most notably Mark Hamill, previously famous for his role as Luke Skywalker in the original Star Wars trilogy, finding success in voice acting thanks to his cheerfully deranged portrayal of the clown prince of crime, the Joker. The role was originally given to Tim Curry, but he developed bronchitis during the initial recording sessions. John Glover, who would later voice the Riddler, also auditioned for the Joker role. Hamill, who found himself to be the biggest fan of the Batman comics amongst the cast, credited the laugh that he had honed on stage in Amadeus with landing him the role. The recording sessions, under the supervision of voice director Andrea Romano, were recorded with the actors together in one studio instead of taking separate recordings, as is typical. This method would later be employed for all subsequent series in the DC animated universe. Al Pacino was considered to voice Two-Face in the series, but he declined the offer. Richard Mall was instead cast in the role. Other actors include Ron Perlman as Clayface, Roddy McDowall as the Mad Hatter, David Warner as Ra's al Ghul, Michael York as Count Vertigo, Kate Mulgrew as Red Claw, George Murdoch as Boss Biggins, and George Durant as the ventriloquist. One of the series' best-known inventions is the Joker's assistant Harley Quinn, who became so popular that DC Comics later added her to mainstream Batman continuity. The Penguin underwent changes for the series. His appearance was remodeled after the version seen in Batman Returns, which was in production simultaneously with the series' first season. New life was also given to lesser-known characters for the series, such as the Clock King. In addition, dramatic changes were made to other villains, such as Clayface and Mr. Freeze, who was changed from a gimmickly mad scientist to a tragic figure whose frigid exterior hid a doomed love and vindictive fury. New villains such as Red Claw, Mary Louise Dahl, known as Baby Doll, Kodisha Khan, Tigress, and the Sewer King were invented for the series, but to little acclaim. On the other hand, the Joker's accomplice, Harley Quinn, Gotham City Police Detective Renee Montagna, the vigilante lockup, and former actor Simon Trent achieved such popularity that they became characters in the comic books themselves. Older characters that were lesser known from the comics, such as Count Vertigo and Mirror Man, as well as the Clock King, were modified for the series in both appearance and personality. This series is also the first to suggest that Harvey Dent had a pre-existing dual personality before becoming Two-Face. This idea came from Alan Burnett, one of the series' producers and head writers. Aside from creating characters that crossed over into the main line of DC Comics, several of the series' reinterpretations were carried over as well. Mr. Freeze was revised in the comics to have emulated the series' tragic story, the success of which actually compelled DC to bring the character back after killing him off some years earlier. Clayface was revisited to be much more simpler in appearance due to his animated counterpart, and Two-Face's double-sided black and white suit had become a common appearance for the character. Some of the other antagonists that appeared in the series would include such characters as Poison Ivy, Catwoman, the Riddler, the Mad Hatter, Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul, Man-Bat, the Penguin, Scarecrow, Killer Croc, Bane, the ventriloquist and his dummy Scarface, Hugo Strange, and Tony Zuko. Friends and allies of Batman featured in the show not previously mentioned include Alfred Pennyworth, Harvey Bullock, and the Grey Ghost, an original character created by the series to portray Bruce Wayne's childhood hero and crime-fighting inspiration, as well as Lucas Fox and Leslie Tompkins. Due to the success of Batman the Animated Series, many crew members went on to design and produce Superman the Animated Series for the WB network. During this time, they also created the New Batman Adventures, which featured the same streamlined animation style as Superman the Animated Series, as well as numerous character redesigns from the original series, despite taking place in the same continuity. In 1999, a futuristic spin-off series titled Batman Beyond premiered on the WB, featuring a teenager named Terry McGinnis taking on the duties of Batman under the guidance of an elderly Bruce Wayne. Then in 2001, the Justice League animated series premiered on the Cartoon Network, featuring Batman as one of the founding members of the League. This was continued in 2004 by Justice League Unlimited, featuring a greatly expanded League. Many DC cartoons unrelated to the larger DC animated universe, such as Teen Titans and The Batman, also featured character designs strongly influenced by those of Bruce Timm. The dramatic writing and stylized art of Batman the Animated Series separates it from many traditional comic book-based cartoons. It can be considered the dramatic equivalent of more adult-oriented cartoon shows like The Simpsons. For this reason, the show's popularity, along that of its various spin-offs, endure amongst older audience and comic book fans. The dark atmosphere, mature themes, and even some of the voice cast from the series are employed in the Batman Arkham video game series. Furthermore, Kevin Conroy reprises his role as Batman, and the first two games are co-written by series veteran Paul Dini. Also, Batman's design and costume in the animated series are featured as an alternate skin in Batman Arkham City. These skins are available as downloadable content and were also available in pre-order at GameStop. The influence of Batman the Animated Series has had a long effect on the comic book industry, and the show sets the standard by which all comic book series are judged. Over 25 years later, Batman the Animated Series still resonates with DC comic fans and superhero fans of all ages, due in fact to the stylized use of the film noir and adult contemporary storylines that Paul Dini and Bruce Timm produced. Deep underground in an undisclosed location, this is Trek Comics presents Batman the Animated Series and the true story of the comic books that inspired the episodes. Batman the Animated Series is a superhero animated television series based upon the popular DC Comics superhero Batman. Developed by Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, and Mitch Brian, and produced by Warner Brothers Animation, it originally aired on Fox Kids from September 5th, 1992 to September 15th, 1995, with a total of 85 episodes. For the final 15 episodes, the series had the on-screen title change of The Adventures of Batman and Robin, which was also used for reruns of earlier episodes. This series became the first in the continuity of the shared DC animated universe, spawning further animated TV series, feature films, comic books, video games, most done with the same creative talent. The influence of Batman the Animated Series had a profound effect on the DC universe in comic book form. Popular characters created for the show itself, such as Harley Quinn and Renee Montoya, were adapted and brought over to the DC universe in proper comic book continuity. This lane also went both ways, with many heralded Batman comic books being adapted into that of Batman the Animated Series. The episode Appointment in Crime Alley is based upon There Is No Hope in Crime Alley from Detective Comics, issue 457 from March 1976, written by Denny O'Neil and artist Dick Giordano. The episode Dreams in Darkness is loosely based upon Batman The Last Arkham from Batman Shadows of the Bat, issues 1 through 4, by writer Alan Grant and artist Norm Breyfogle, from June to September of 1992. This episode adaptation of the comic book story with the inclusion of Scarecrow instead of Victor Zsasz, and Dr. Bartholomew instead of Jeremiah Arkham. The episode The Cape and Cowl Conspiracy was an adaptation of the Cape and Cowl Death Trap from Detective Comics issue 450 from August 1975. Written by Elliot S. Megan and drawn by Walt Simonson. Part 1 of Robin Reckoning takes its cues from Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder from Detective Comics issue 38, way back from April of 1940, by writer Bill Finger and artist Bob Kane, with illustrations done by Jerry Robinson, the true creators of Batman. One of the greatest episodes of Batman the Animated Series was the episode The Laughing Fish, which was based on 3 Batman comics blended together. The Joker's Five-Way Revenge from Batman issue 250 from September 1973 by Denny O'Neil and artist Neil Adams, followed by The Laughing Fish and Signs of the Joker from Detective Comics issue 475 and 476 of February to March of 1978, both by writer Stephen Englehart with art by Marshall Rogers. During a Spotlight podcast from Comic-Con 2007, Paul Dini explained that the reason why the episode combined those stories was that the show's creators could not adapt them separately because of their content, and thematic elements would not have been cleared by the censors. The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne was based on the comic stories The Dead Yet Lived and I Am Batman from Detective Comics issue 471 and 472, August and September of 1977 by Steve Englehart. The episode Moon of the Wolf is based on the comic book story of the same name by writer Len Wein and art by Neil Adams from Batman issue 255 from April 1974. The episode Terror in the Sky is loosely based on Man-Bat over Vegas, originally presented in Detective Comics issue 429 by writer and artist Frank Robbins. The setting has been shifted from Las Vegas to Gotham Harbor, and keeping with the family-friendly rating of the television show, She-Bat is not a vampire in the adaptation. The final line of the episode, "The nightmare's finally over," is similar to one of the final lines from the original comic, "Now Fran's vampire nightmare is about over." One of my personal favorite episodes, episode Almost Got 'Em, appears to be influenced by a 4-issue story arc in Batman issues 291 to 294 from 1977 entitled Where Were You the Night Batman Was Killed? All 4 stories were written by David Vern Reed and drawn by John Cullen under the direction of Batman editor Julius Schwartz. In each of the 4 issues, one of Catwoman, the Riddler, and the Joker all recount their claims to have killed Batman. However, the plot for Almost Got 'Em is quite different. 6 different stories in the show and 4 completely different ones in the comic book. with only the Joker as an overlapping antagonist. Two-Face's strategy in Almost Got Him, strapping down Batman to a giant coin and flipping the coin in the air, was taken from the comic World's Finest Comics, issue number 30, from September of 1947 by writer Bill Finger and artist Bob Kane. In the backup tale, both Batman and Robin were tied to a giant penny that was catapulted into spikes by a lesser-known villain, the Penny Plunder. The episode Off Balance is a direct adaptation of Batman into the Den of the Death Dealers from Detective Comics, issue 411 from May of 1971. Written by writer Dennis O'Neil and drawn by artists Bob Brown and Dick Giordano. It is famous for the first appearance of the mysterious Talia al Ghul. The two-part episode, The Demon's Quest, is a direct adaptation of Daughter of the Demon from Batman issue 232 from June of 1971, and The Demon Lives Again from Batman issue 244, September of 1972, written by Dennis O'Neil and drawn by artist Neil Adams. The issues themselves are famous for introducing one of Batman's deadliest foes, Ra's al Ghul, the father of Talia. The episode's sideshow is loosely based upon A Vow from the Grave, from Detective Comics issue 410 by writer Dennis O'Neil and artist Bob Brown and Dick Giordano. This episode adapted the comic book story with the inclusion of a separate Killer Croc story. A Bullet for Bullock is based upon the comic of the same name from Detective Comics issue 651, October of 1992, by writer Chuck Dixon and artist Graham Nolan. Finally, the feature film Mask of the Phantasm is also an adaptation. The film's flashbacks were inspired by Batman Year One, whereas the character of Andrea Beaumont and the storyline itself were modified from Mike Baugh's story Batman Year 2, which ran in Detective Comics issue 575 to 578 in the late 1980s. The villain of this comic was named the Reaper. Batman the Animated Series helped further Batman's popularity throughout the 90s and today by introducing a whole new generation of Bat fans. It also incorporated Harley Quinn and Renee Montoya into the regular Batman comic book continuity. Not to be outdone, Batman the Animated Series also drew upon Batman's past with many popular adaptations of some classic comic books of Batman by some of the series' top writers and artists of their day.